What's up, everyone? Welcome to Power Play with CJ. I should have talked about this over the weekend, but I'll talk about it now. Talk about all the time the real world, and then there's hockey. And one thing that happened over the weekend happened last week, but the let's go back a little bit. Last year, the Carolina Hurricanes skated at Fort Bragg in North Carolina, which is one of the largest military bases in the United States, and they had soldiers skating with them, practice, which is awesome. One of them was a sergeant from Michigan, Sergeant Mike Cathcart, who was in Special Forces. Special Forces runs a lot of their operations out of Fort Bragg. I know Delta Force, which may or may not officially exist, is based down there. As are the Army Rangers and a ton of other really, really elite units. Some of the world's most elite fighting forces are out of Bragg, and it was a great experience and for the soldiers and obviously for the Hurricanes. And this past week in Kunduz province in Afghanistan, Sergeant Cathcart, who was a special forces sergeant, truly the very, very, very tip of the sword, was died as a result of combat injuries, and it's an unfortunate situation. I mean, it happens all the time. The U.S. and our allies, including Canada, are engaged in active war on terror. We have the shit hitting the fan with ISIS and all that. There's a reason we're able to enjoy the freedoms we enjoy every single day, and that's because men like Sergeant Cathcart, men and women, are at the forefront, willing to fight and die for liberties we take, in many ways take for granted. And it took his association with the Carolina Hurricanes for it to come to everyone's attention. But there's his you know service was exemplary. 4 Bronze Star medals, Purple Heart, and 4 commendations. He'd been wounded in combat before and chose to go back. And he just his resume speaks for itself. And it's definitely a loss for our country, the United States, and the Carolina Hurricanes organization. We're glad to have him skating with them and have him around the team for that day or two that they were there. Both Ron Francis and Eric Stahl released really good statements about it, and it's a real real world, and really puts everything in perspective, in our lives, and obviously, and I said before, I'll say again, there's the real world, and then there's kind of like the I don't want to call it make, but with hockey, use it as an escape from the day to day. I think that's why we all love it. It gets us out of our zone for a little bit. We can talk about goals, assists, transactions, stuff like that. But you know, there's a reason we're allowed to do that, and that's because our liberties are fought for. Every single day. So it's just it's a tough loss for the world. Keep his Sergeant Cathcart and his family in our thoughts and prayers over here at the Power Play with CJ. I couldn't dig up a Special Forces T-shirt, but I figured I'd definitely wear my Navy SEAL shirt as a little show of support for the elite fighting forces in the United States, because they're pretty kick ass, and they'll put a beat down on the bad guys. I'm sure um, you know there are men and women every single day that are willing to risk their lives for me to sit in front of a computer and talk hockey. So, I'm grateful for their service, and we'll keep Sergeant Cathcart and all the fallen men and women of the U.S. and Canadian militaries in our thoughts and prayers. Especially we're a week and a half after or a week after Veterans Day in Remembrance Day, Canada. So that's like this episode of the Power Play with CJ on Sergeant Mike Cathcart losing his life in Afghanistan. It's 2 more episodes for the season and beyond. Later, guys.